Tang Dynasty excursions into Vietnam were at first successful. The Tang Dynasty easily took over the northern area of Vietnam and maintained a tight control over the central region. Although, by 905 CE, Vietnamese rebels had expelled Tang Dynasty forces from the central region. However, the Tang kept a strong presence in the north. Thus, despite the expulsion of Chinese forces, Vietnam would retain a large part of Chinese culture. Other areas in Southeast Asia were more submissive. Most areas remained in friendly terms, with envoys constantly visiting each country. Tang relations with Cambodia, Sri Lanka, and Burma were all friendly. For example, the government of Burma sent envoys with music to the Tang Dynasty, which had much influence on Chinese culture.
In the early years of the Tang, the Korean peninsula was divided into three separate kingdoms, the Goguryeo, Baekje, and Shinla. However, the first two were later conquered by China, although the Shinla managed to fight off the Chinese Empire. The Tang eventually gave up, and in 675 CE, the Shinla united the peninsula. The Tang maintained a tributary relationship with the Shinla, meaning that the Shinla recognized the Chinese emperors as their overlords and paid tribute and sent its students to study abroad in China. The Tang culture began to have an enormous influence on the Shinla. For example, the Shinla adopted the Tang calendar, reformed their administration along the lines of the Tang, and adopted the civil service examination system for the appointment of officials. Tea cultivation, engraving, and printing skills were also introduced from China. This cross-cultural diffusion helped shape Shinla society, and aspects of Chinese culture can still be seen in modern-day Korea.
Although its origins lie in the Han Dynasty and was formally introduced in the Sui Dynasty, it was not until the Tang Dynasty that the civil service exams began to be truly effective. The purpose of this imperial examination was to choose government bureaucrats not through special or inherited privilege, but through an individual's own abilities. The might of the Tang Dynasty was established militarily. Tang Taizong, the first emperor of this dynasty, conquered nearly all of China and subjected the neighboring countries as tributaries, such as Korea and Vietnam. However, the actual governance of not only China but also its diplomatic relations with other countries would require the administrative services of thousands of bureaucrats.
Thus, the civil service exam
served as a means to create a meritocratic government heavily predominated by Confucian values and run by an aristocracy of intellectuals. Their reasoning was that smart people making smart decisions leads to an efficient and effective government.
哎呀，我的妈呀！我这明天就要交了，结果还没背下来。床前明月光，疑是地上霜。举头望明月，低头思归。哎呀，天哪，背不下来呀，真是的。
Other than Confucian works, subjects also emphasized in the civil service exams include a basic understanding of the country, politics, and economy. Basically, they need to study policies that help ensure the success of the dynasty. Three policies in particular help explain the success of the Tang Dynasty: an extensive transportation and communications network, the equal field system, and a merit-based bureaucracy. The origins of these policies came from the Sui Dynasty. However, unlike the Sui Dynasty, the Tang Dynasty successfully enforced and applied them, and thus resulted in the prosperity of the Tang Dynasty. As previously mentioned, the civil service exams ensured that the government officials were well educated and passed the Confucian educational system with knowledge of Chinese classics and philosophy. Built in the Sui Dynasty, the Grand Canal served as the main route for long-distance transportation within China. Using the natural flow of water as a source of energy, it was highly efficient and economical and served the purpose for trading between northern and southern China. Apart from the Grand Canal, there were also stations or inns along major roads that travelers could rest at. The third policy is the equal field system. To prevent social issues, land was distributed to families according to their needs. This distribution of land proved to be successful for the first half of the Tang Dynasty. However, during the second half,